Okay, we're good, I think. Yeah, welcome back. Today's Monday. Today we are going to be learning information and stories and stuff about the Baal Shem Tov as found in Breslov Svarim, specifically in Sefer Siach Sarfei Kodesh. New version, learning some new information here about the Baal Shem Tov. So let's read. We'll see how long we can do. Maybe we'll divide this up into two parts. Okay. First piece. It says, I wish I could hold it like this, because then I don't, whatever. Anyway, first piece. It says in Ukraine, there was a lot of people there that were very, very far from Hashem. A lot of people were very into just, money and buying things and very megusham, into the Gashmias. Also, the city of Mezhbuzh, surprisingly enough, was also very simple and it was very into Gashmias. It doesn't really seem like that because it's kind of just like a little town without any big houses. But I'm saying what it means is that there's people there who were very, very far from Hashem. And Dafka there, that's where the Baal Shem Tov decided to move in and set up residency and set up his home to bring people close to Hashem. Also, the city of Breslov was also very migushemet, and that is where Rabbi Nachman decided to go into also to do a tikkun over there on the people there, so that he could help everybody out. Just gonna move over there like that. So that's why the Baal Shem Tov decided to live in Mezhbuzh. So it says over here that the way of the Baal Shem Tov, as is known, was to hang out and to also, besides for having his, serious chavraya of Chassidim who were serious, into Chassidus, into Kabbalah, into Gemara, and they knew how to learn. They were big tzaddikim. He also would be mischaber. He also would hang out with very, very simple village people. They would call them rendarers, soichre habhundakim. Okay, I don't know what that means. The renderers, like simple people, farmers, and people who rented out rooms and little bars and whatever. Right? They were mamish ami haaretz, and they didn't even know how to daven at all. Right? But the Baal Shem Tov would bring them close to serve Hashem, and the Baal Shem Tov used to just, the only thing he would teach them was how to say a lot of Tehillim. Right? This group of people eventually got the name the Tehillimniks, like the people who would say Tehillim, right? Because they had a Chevras Tehillim, they had a group that they would say after davening, like they would daven, and then after davening they would sit there. This Tehillimniks, this group of simple villagers that the Baal Shem Tov was in charge of, and they would say the whole entire Sefer of Tehillim, without understanding at all, without understanding what the parish of the Milos are. The Baal Shem Tov just taught them how to say Tehillim. Like just the words, right? And then on Shmini Atzeres, which is the last day of Sukkot, Shmini Atzeres Simchas Torah, right? Haya oirich haBaal Shem Tov es shulchan lifnei elu anashim pshutim levad. The Baal Shem Tov would invite only these people to eat with to eat by him, right? A Baal Bata Shetish, what they call it here in Yiddish. Also, Rabbi Nachman also did this. Shmini Atzeres, he would only sit with the Bali Batim. And he wouldn't even let any of his big Talmidim come in. Right? And the bigger Talmidim who were tzaddikim, they used to be very shocked at this behavior of the Baal Shem Tov. They're like, what already is the Baal Shem Tov doing with these guys? You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, he's doing a tikkun on their neshama, fine. They're like, why does he have to have just on Shmini Atzeres only them? So they asked the Baal Shem Tov once, like, what's pshat with these, what's your kesher between these people, the Oimri Tehillim Apshutim, the people who say Tehillim simply, and like what are you doing with them exactly? So the Baal Shem Tov said to them, he said, stand with me in a circle, and everybody should put their hand on each other's shoulder, right? So one guy puts it on that shoulder, the next guy puts it on that shoulder, and they all stand in a circle. And the Talmud, the Maggid HaMezrich, put his hand on the shoulder of the Baal Shem Tov, And the Baal Shem Tov commanded, after all holding hands on the shoulders, to close their eyes. And they started going up into the upper worlds with Aliyas Neshama. The soul was going up from Heichel to Heichel, from chamber to chamber, up in Shemayim, until they came to a very, very high chamber. And this was the chamber of David HaMelech, Olav Shalom, who made Tehillim. And they all went inside this chamber, and they saw this beautiful, amazing light. That they heard people saying Tehillim there with this great sweetness that was not explainable. And from the great Devekis and the sweetness that was in this chamber, they almost died. The Baal Shem Tov took his hand off the circle, they came back to the world, and this Devekis stopped, and he says, maybe you understand now why I'm saying Tehillim with these guys. Because that the Tehillim that they were saying, that the Baal Shem Tov says with these simple guys, is the Tehillim that they're saying in that chamber. So now they saw what's pshat going on over here, how it's an amazing thing, even up in Shemaim, just a simple saying of Tehillim. And they were mischaret on that they had questions on their Rav, the Baal Shem Tov. The next piece says over here that Rabbi Lev Yitzchak of Berditch Rabbi Lev Yitzchak Bender heard from Rav Avin Bar Nachman, big breast of tzaddikim, that the wife of the Baal Shem Tov did not even know how to daven from a siddur at all. It also says in the house of Rav Zushya that Rav Zushya said, how did I get to my level? Because my wife did not know how to daven from a siddur. He said the reason why is because that they were just pashut holy women who didn't know how to daven. They didn't have any chachmas. They didn't get any chachmas. They're just pashut helping their husband serve Hashem. And they're able to help tzaddikim. So yeah, it's interesting that they didn't know. I think also they said about the Veledniker too, that his wife, that his mother at least didn't know how to daven from a siddur. They didn't even know how to read the words. It's also why Rabbi Nachman, when he wanted the Sipur Maisis to be printed, he wanted it to be printed with Yiddish on the bottom, so that women could be able to read it. He said that by reading Sipur Maisis, women can get pregnant. If the woman's having a hard time getting pregnant, so if they read Sipur Maisis, so then they could be, it could definitely help them. But he wanted them to be able to read it, but none of them knew how to read Hebrew and translate it, so he wanted to make it in Yiddish. Okay. Another interesting thing about the Baal Shem Tov is that the Baal Shem Tov, you would think that the Baal Shem Tov would be some big chazan, he would daven for the Amid a lot, all these things. Tell over here that the Baal Shem Tov, and this is also in others from that the Baal Shem Tov did not pray at all as a shliach tzibur, as the chazan, as the leader of the prayers. Even on the day of the yahrzeit of his parents, he would only say Kaddish, except for Tfilas Tal and Tfilas Geshem. So then he would go in front of and then he would be the Shliach Tzibur, but only for those two things, Sukkot and Pesach. But the rest of the year, nothing. I marked down some things over here to read. There was 5 times a year that the Baal Shem Tov would mamish daven very, very, very early, from the time of Alaysa Shachar Mamish, which is on, what are these 5 times? The 5 times are Shvius Shal Pesach, Shavuos, Tisha B'Av, Hoshana Rabbah, and Purim. Right? U'b'derech zeh nahagim anshe sheminu Chassidic History midorador, and also the Breslovers daven like this also. The Baal Shem Tov himself would daven v'sikin every single day. So I don't know what the difference is, like daven even earlier. I guess it means that he would start davening even earlier than a regular day that you would daven v'sikin. You would probably start from the time of Talis and Tefillin on the day of v'sikin. But on those 5 times, on Shvius Shal Pesach, Shavuos, on the first day, Tisha B'Av, Hoshana Rabbah, and Purim, he would start davening even earlier. The Tzaddik Rav Yishaya Miyanov. He was a Talmud of the Baal Shem Tov, and he was made. He gave witness. He said he was a witness on his Rebbe, the Baal Shem Tov, that he was makbid to daven shachars every day, bisman hanetzachama. Right, that's when he davened. And there was a lot of tzaddikim who were, because at then it says over here in the footnote that there was a break off, like there was, because if the Baal Shem Tov would daven early, right now we know that Chassidim like daven late, some Chassidim, so it explains here a bunch of things, but the best thing that Rabbi Menachem says to do is to daven early also. And when it says over here that also he didn't have a minyan, he would just daven biyechidus. This one's very interesting. It says, one time a simple villager came to the Baal Shem Tov, and he complained to him. And he said that he lives in such a faraway village from all the Jews, doesn't have a minyan to daven in, doesn't have kaddish to answer, doesn't have baruch hu, brachos to answer, amen to, right? But it's very hard. It's very hard for him to leave and move somewhere else where there's Yidden because he has work over there and whatever. So the Baal Shem Tov said to him, you should be mishtadel in the mitzvahs of hachnos esorchim, right? And when you are mechabe the oirech, and when you give the guest the kasha, which is daisa, so techavin shu kineged kaddish, kasha and kaddish, and then when you add on, you give him more borscht, which is beets, techavin shu kineged baruch hu. Titin lagam borscht, so borscht and baruch hu. So you could do big avodas with the food, which is cool. So that's what he's telling this guy to do. What else do we have over here today? This is a cool one. It says over here that there's a mashal, a parable that the Baal Shem Tov used to say over. It says one time there was a king that he had a guy in his palace who was a klezmer, an ish nagun. He used to play music for the king, right? He used to play on the harp, flute, whatever it was. And he would play such beautiful nigunim until the soul of the king would almost go out from his body, right? Because he had such chiyus from the way that he played. And he asked this person every day, this musician, to play every single day this nigun in front of him, right? But after a while, after he plays them every single day, the king felt that this guy was not playing it the same way that like he used to play it in front of the king, because after a while he knows that the king already heard the song 100 times. Why should I play it with all my might? Why should I play it like the best way possible? So what did the king do? So he wanted the nigun to be like new to him. So what did he do? The king went and made a ball, like a mishta party, and every time during the party he would call in front of him a different prince, a different member of the cabinet, different member of his government, whatever, and also different kings from other countries, that they would come to this ball, and he would tell this, and he would tell the musician guy, oh, here's the king of this place, play the nigun again. And since that guy never heard it, so then the guy who would play the nigun would actually play it for real this time, right? And he would play and he would do it every time the best whenever there was a new person. But now, after a while, the king already invited everybody, and he didn't have anyone to invite, right? So he invited every single person that he could think of to invite, that the guy would play the nigun good, he already invited. But he wanted to hear the nigun again still so much. So what did he do? This is very intense. He commanded that they should take out the eyes of the menagin, of the musician. And whenever he wanted to hear the song, he would say, oh, another guy's coming now. And the guy couldn't see. So what was he going to do? He had to just play the whole entire song every single time. Sounds like a very intense situation. But it's just crazy. So what's the point of this mashal over here? It says that the Baal Shem Tov says, Hifter, he finished and he says that we learn Torah. He says that the Torah is always new by Hashem, but only by us it's a little old, right? And okay, so we come across a new thing, or we have a new person or a new something, so we get excited, but it becomes old to us very, very fast. So therefore we have to take out our eyes from this world completely, and then we'll be able to see the beautiful niggin of what's inside the Holy Torah. And that's what it means, which is pretty intense. Like, don't go after all the crazy desires of this world, and you'll see how beautiful the actual what's going on inside the Torah is. All the Torah. This is interesting. In the time of the Baal Shem Tov, there was a Yehudi Talmud Chacham B'Chashiv, very important Talmud Chacham, Jew who lived there, but he was not like so nice to people. Right? Nobody really liked him, and he didn't really like anybody. He was just this Talmud Chacham guy, but he didn't know how to connect with people, right? And he didn't understand what was going on. Like, why can't I have people? Why people aren't liking me? They didn't realize who he was. So he went to the Baal Shem Tov and he asked the Baal Shem Tov, what's going on over here? So the Baal Shem Tov said to his Chassidim, he said, go to this guy's house during the winter and see if it's cold inside his house. And when they went into his house, they saw that it was very, very cold. And they spoke to him. He said that he had the ability to heat up his apartment with wood and fireplace, whatever, but he didn't do it. And the Baal Shem Tov says, the Baal Shem Tov realized what was going on. He said, a kalter shtub, a kalter yid. A cold house means a cold yid. I guess that's true sometimes. The Baal Shem Tov says, that regarding people who change their levush from a long coat, from long clothing to a short clothing. So he says a beged kotzer is a Yehudi kotzer, is a short beged is a short Jew. Not like short physically, short in other things. Right? Because from the beginning of time, Jews always dressed with long clothing. Obviously when they were living in the Midbar and in the actual Torah, I'm saying they weren't wearing suits and bekishas, but they were wearing long clothing. But the Chassidim are known to wear long clothing as well. And Baal Shem Tov also over here commanded his chavraya to learn and to increase their learning a lot in the Shulchan Aruch, and also the divrei of the Ramah, that it should be mamish in their mouth at all times. He said that the Shulchan Aruch nichta v'chubar beruach hakodesh. Right, also Rabbi Menachem was also very into learning the Shulchan Aruch, obviously. Let's do one more piece over here. Yeah. So the Baal Shem Tov says, the Baal Shem Tov was talking to his Chassidim, and he was saying that there was one time a din Torah that was in his time regarding money of a certain poor person, and one of the Rabbanim made a psak, and I guess took away this guy's money, whatever. It didn't belong to the poor person anymore, it belonged to the other person, whatever. And when he died and he went up to Shemayim, they asked him, why did you make a psak like this? Right? Because they said this is not the actual law. So the Rav said, no, it is, and he started doing this whole pilpul that he said, no, it is, and he wanted to show him that he's right. And it says, V'nase tzchoik kadol mipilpulei ad she'aflam rechakim achmas bashlei. That there was that they started laughing in Shemayim at his pilpul until he was thrown so far away from his embarrassment. And the tzchoik that they laughed in Shemayim was heard from at a distance of 200 parsoyas, very, very far distance. And when the Baal Shem Tov said the story over, he didn't say the name of the Rav, but everybody who was sitting there knew who he was talking about. So yeah. Oh no, there we are. Sorry, my screen just went crazy. Okay, yeah. So that's basically today's thing about the Baal Shem Tov, and I hope you learned something. And hopefully we'll continue more Thursday. Probably not Thursday because it's Lag BaOmer. We'll see. Maybe next week we'll do some stuff. Maybe later in the week. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope that you have a great day.